All right, so today we're going to talk about domain and range. We talked about domain and range a little bit last class. We're talking about those function arrows. We're going from bubble to the other bubble. We had these. Remember these? Right? That's the kind of stuff we were playing with last class. Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to be doing that same thing, that same idea again. The domain, was that x's or y's? The domains are x's and the y's are range. So these are your x's and these are your y's. Okay? All right. So let's write some stuff down. The domain, in common words, is the set of values of that the function lives in. Notice that it's the x values. It's where your x's live. Okay, so where do your x's live? In Texas. No one got that one. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Where do your exes live? All my exes live in Texas. Okay. Never mind. So yeah, I know that was really bad. Okay. Range. Some of y'all still didn't get it. And mumble. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Range. The range is the set of y values that the function produces. So x's are your domain and y's are the range. So in pictures, so the domain and the range are determined by the maximum and minimum values of x and y. Where do all of the x's live? Where do all of the y's live? If you look at this graph, my domain is from the smallest x value all the way up to the biggest x value. You see that? Going from all the way on the left to all the way on the right. But the range goes from the very, very bottom spot to the very, very top, this highest spot. Inside that window, that function is entirely in there. Chica. Gracias. Oh, sorry, dude. Okay, see how I picked the biggest x and the smallest x, and it lives inside there? And then I picked the bottom y value and the top y value? See how I made those choices? Yes? All right. In order for us to be able to describe our answers, Okay, we need to know what's called interval notation. Oh, the smartboard's misbehaving. Just a second. Okay. Interval notation. If we want to say x is between two numbers, okay? So for example, I could say that, I don't know all of your birthdays, of course, but I could say that your ages are between probably 14 and 14 and 18 or something like that. Okay, you have whoever you are, you're going to land inside that window. Okay, I could probably say with 100% certainty that all of your ages are going to be between 10 and 100, right? Including me, even though I'm old. I'm younger than 100 years old. Hopefully not. One day I will be older than 100, but write it like this. That. Or using the example that I had a minute ago, 10 and 100. X is between 10 and 100. It's bigger than 10, but smaller than 100. Okay? Your arrows, they're always going to be pointing to the left like that. Okay? We don't want them mixing them up and pointing in weird directions and stuff. Okay? That's pretty much the way it's always going to look. Now the numbers are going to change, and we might change the letter in the with the examples. Okay? Let's use our graph paper and examples. Again, don't waste your graph paper with giant graphs. Not good. Okay, so this will be our first example. And what we're going to try and do is determine what the domain and the range are. Domains are which one? X's or Y's? X's. That's the middle. Looking at my line segment there, you see that I've got filled in circles on both ends. Does that mean that I should have bars or no bars in my symbols? These dots. Does that mean that it's a filled in dot, right? Does that have a bar or no bar? It has a bar. Remember, I was saying the other day, more ink than maybe this one does, right? If it's got a circle, it's no bar. Because I'm saying that point is a good point. It is included in my set. Okay? I've been watching you chew for like 5 minutes. Spit it out. All right. My minimum X value. What's the minimum X value? Smallest X value on that graph. You can count it. Where is it? This is -3, right? Maximum value. What is it? So that is your domain. Your graph lives between those two values. Thank you. Okay. Your range. X's or Y's? Y's. So that's the left. Am I going to have bars or no bars? Bars. The only time that you have no bars is when you're dealing with a circle. You know, instead of a dot, it's a circle. Okay? Because it's included. Because that's a solid dot and it's included. It's not omitted from the answer. Okay? So what is my minimum y value? What is my maximum y value? One, two, three, four, five. So that is your range. Your domain is it goes from the maximum to the minimum. If you guys need to, you can win a little bit. This makes sense? See what we're doing? Great. Try a more complicated example. I'll make that one. So look at where it is, find all those places, draw that picture. And then we'll determine what the domain and the range are. Are X's or Y's? Remember, your arrowheads are always looking like that. We will. So the smallest X value, the one farthest on the left, what's that? The smallest X value. See? It's right here. So should I have a bar under this one or not? Why? It's filled in. What about my maximum X value? How far? It's over 4, isn't it? But this one doesn't have, because it's got a circle. It's empty. That point is not allowed. Okay? It's not in the answer. Do you see how that's your domain? Where everything lives inside that window? Yes? Okay. All right, now let's talk about your range. Okay, range is the what letter? Okay, what's my minimum y value, the lowest y value? See how this is? That's the lowest spot on the graph, the minimum value on the graph. Is that going to be a bar or no bar? Bar, because it's filled in. It's a filled in circle. Okay. Now let's talk about the maximum y value. What's the maximum y value? Really? It's the highest value on the graph is 1? 4. It's the highest point on the graph. Highest point in the graph is right there. That's the maximum. Okay? Bar or no bar? Is that point not on the graph? Is it removed from the graph? It's there, isn't it? It's a real point that's really on the graph, isn't it? So yes, it has a bar. Unless it has a circle, it's got a bar. This makes sense? So far, so good? Okay, looks like we're all ready. Okay. Before we talk about domain, what's the maximum y value? You see it? The top of this graph has a height of 2. Right here. Now, I'm talking about, and what would be the minimum value? Negative. Ooh, hold on. The lowest this graph ever gets is what? What do those arrowheads mean? Yeah, it keeps going on forever and forever, and that means the lowest value is going to be what? Infinity, but it's going down, so it would be a negative infinity. Okay, it goes on and on and on and on and on forever. Down negative, right? So you can write your range like this. Y is less than what? What goes on the maximum? 2. Everything is there, and since on and on and on forever. Now, here's a weird thing. Can it ever equal infinity? Equaling infinity. Something is equal to infinity. Well, is infinity plus 1 bigger? Infinity is not a number. You can't equal something that isn't a You can't ever put a bar with an infinity symbol. Infinity. I'm going to write an infinity, whether it's a positive infinity or a negative infinity. It does not get a bar. Because you can't ever equal it. would be just to say things below 2. Everything below 2, right? How do you say everything below? Y less than 2. Fantastic. All right, good. You guys are on a roll today. Fantastic. Awesome. So both of those would work. Y's less than 2 and y's between negative infinity and 2. Right. Good stuff. All right, so let's talk about domain. Okay, is there a minimum x value? Look at, we have arrows. In it has a, again, it's going, that arrow says to me, going and going and going and going and going, right? It keeps on going. So what's my lowest? Is there a lowest x value? No, you could use what? Positive infinity? Negative infinity. What about the maximum maximum x value? Positive infinity. So we're talking about x's going from negative infinity to positive infinity. Isn't that everything? Right? It's everything. It's every number you know. It's between negative infinity and positive infinity, right? There's a way that we can write this when we're talking about all numbers. We say all real numbers. There's a special symbol that you need to know when you're saying all real numbers. And it's an R, it's a fancy looking R. Okay, you start with a double bar and then you turn it into an R. Okay, that says everything, all real numbers. Because x's are unbounded. They can go forever in both directions. Make sense? What about the rest of us? Yes? We cool? Yeah. All right. So let's try one like this guy. So let's talk about our domain. X's start where? Where do the x's begin? The smallest x we have. Negative x's. Talking x's. What's the lowest x, guys? The lowest x value you have. Negative 2. You see how that's the furthest point on the left. And we want to say, and what's the maximum x value? Well, how do you know it's infinity? An arrowhead. That arrowhead says forever and ever and ever and ever, right? So everything that I want to write, I want to say x's, how? X's are what values? Tell me what's right. Let's start with an x. X's are what? Greater than? Things bigger than negative 2. Everything bigger than negative 2. If you wanted to write it with an there, there, you could do it, but you would have to write it like this. Put a bar there or not? No, because it's infinity. Infinity never is equal to anything. It's not even to itself. What about my range? Who can tell me what my range is? Hmm? Where do all of the y values, what can I say? All of the y values will be where? No idea? Hmm? Okay, you guys are a real lively bunch today. Y's less than or equal to -1 because they're all below -1. Everything below -1 because it goes on. This arrowhead says that it goes on and on. You could also say y is less than -1 and greater than negative infinity. It's bigger than me, but it's less than -1. It's in between those two. All right. Well, okay. Domain. X's go, what? What's my minimum X value? Smallest X value, the window that it lives in. Thank you very much. Exactly right. -2. All right. All right. -2. Bar. This point is that point missing? Even if it wasn't, I didn't draw it. No, so it should have. How far? Bar, no bar. What about my range? Yes, that's right. It should be a Y. Very good. And a Y. Good. It's a Y. Good call. And what's my minimum Y value? All right. -3. And yes, you're right. It has a bar. Good shot. All right. 1. With a bar. No bar. With a bar. Minimum Y value, maximum Y value, minimum X value, maximum X value. It's the window that everybody's living in. Right, Jade? Jade. Someone wake her up before I do. All right. So how do we feel? Well, you were out of the room for a while. Are we under control? Do we know what we're doing? All right, fantastic. This episode of the Ronco Show has been brought to you by Domain and Range. and x and y.